Hello, what is up everyone? It is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here. And I'm Mighty the Armadillo here. We are back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more Let's Play of Super Mario 3D World, plus Bowser's Fury for the Nintendo Switch. So last time we basically managed to able to finish up with the shortest world in the game by the forms of World Mushroom, because obviously we did manage to able to complete these stages as fast as possible, so we figured I was able to point things out right away. So yeah, today for this episode is the fact that we are moving on to the next special world in this game, specifically in the Super Mario 3D World portion of the game, that we are going to be exploring through World Flower. So because of that though, easily by far is the longest world in the entire game, just because of the forms of how the fact that we were able to come across into 12 levels to able to go through. So either way though, yeah, let's get started with the forms of that particular circus level that you know, it's kind of similar to the ones in the forms of how it does it on, you know, in World 1, except the fact that it makes things a bit tricky and difficult every now and then. But, oh wow, I just somehow managed to run into the forms of those guys super easily right there. But, hopefully we're able to manage while, taking damage every once in a while, but, yeah, it knows what stands out for that point. Oh, jeez Louise, I keep running into those things like a fool. But hopefully, I should be able to actually survive for this, so either way though, there we go. So yeah, obviously it remains the same level gimmick as the new forms of how it does it on the first world, that basically you do need to able to require to activate specific switches until you're able to progress. So yeah, that pretty much stands out for the sake of time. So I'm pretty also concerned about the fact that some of these levels compared to the normal counterparts might actually be kind of short, just because of the forms of how the fact that in this level, for instance, that normally that in the first world that we always start things off with the beginning portion of the level, like simply we have to able to get used to with the switches throughout. But it turns out that we actually did manage to able to skip ahead on the forms of the second segment already. So yeah, I think that's pretty much as far as we can able to say about this for this point, Ray. So yeah, today's day is of course the 27th of August today, in this case in 2021 today, and well, we only got about 5 more days to go until specifically we are moving on to the next month, which appears to be by the forms of September, which is a month where, you know, basically more stuff is coming, like Sonic Colors Ultimate, WarioWare Get It Together, and all sorts of stuff as far as you might as well able to think about the actual thing itself. But either way, let's go ahead and use the baseball to... seriously? Even though we can't do the riskiest move, because obviously if we screw this up majorly, then we're gonna have to start the entire level all over again. Yeah, because as you can tell, some of these other levels might actually contain, like, no checkpoints, whilst in some other levels do have checkpoints in certain stages. So that's what I classify for something worth mentioning for that specific stuff. So I'm supposed not much else I can honestly try to talk about for the sake of the forms of today's discussion, just because of how the fact that, well, obviously that we've almost finishing up with this Let's Play at this point in time. Well, though, to be more specifically though, Mighty, is the fact that we've almost nearly at the end of Super Mario 3D World, the Nintendo Switch version of the game, until whenever we get into the forms of the exciting part, which is of course Bowser's Fury, because, well, again, we'll point it out whenever we get into the forms of, well, to be more specifically until for later, so for that discussion anyway. So of course we can able to actually access to this next 2 levels right here. So let's get started, so let's get this thing to it with the next stage, which is Floating Fuzzy Time Mine, and for this level we'll go for Toad. So, and yeah, something's worth classified for noticing this. I don't suppose if you notice from the likes of that I don't suppose that we actually mentioned about this either. That yeah, much like in World Mushroom though, that I suppose we forgot to mention about, that is the fact that between the other 2 worlds, specifically you know, World Flower and World Mushroom, that those are the only worlds that does not contain any stamps at all. So because of that though, because unlike in World 1 all the way up to World Star, that it does manage to have a stamp, whilst in this particular world, along with World Mushroom, is the only exception. So, yeah, because obviously that's between both World Mushroom and World Flower are basically it's like the repeated levels, except, well, they make things a bit difficult and challenging. So because of that, though, yeah, especially noticeable if you're trying to go after green stars or anything else to be more specific. So, and yeah, this is what the Lucky Cat power-up looks like. You're able to turn into a lucky golden Lucky Cat statue, and that way you can able to actually get some more coins out of it. So, again, it's pretty easy to able to get extra lives. Although, kind of thinking about it though, I just realized something. Since we actually got ourselves about 74 extra lives, so that means, oh yes, the same number as the forms of the, Cap King 74, as far as the actual number at the end. Although, unfortunately though, still no sign of able to actually making him come back after the forms of his uploading schedules of, Pikmin 3 Deluxe announcement video, and, yeah, we're kind of sick of the forms of Alf's quick stare, so because of that though, I don't know about you, but I'm getting pretty tired of the forms of that particular image of Alf looking at you, staring at you for longest amount of time if possible. Although, to be fair, we are basically Pikmin out, so yeah, because obviously that we no longer have those 3 Let's Plays back in the day, just because, well, the amount of views we've got is not high enough, so. And plus, as far as I can tell, that it's not that popular for that particular Let's Plays when it comes to those 3 games specifically, just because of the forms of, bad commentary, and also say applies to the forms of some pretty lack of skills or something. Well, at least for the most part, so. Anyway, so here we go, on to the next stage. As you can see, that we actually going to be able to interact with the forms of that Force Nature level in the dark. And to get the forms of the majority of the green stars is that you need to be able to use the Fire Flower for the majority of the green star requirements. And because of that, you have to light up those specific lanterns, as you can see, until you're able to get yourselves, what else? The green stars. But not only do you able to do that, you have to do it like 3 times, so throughout the whole entire stage. So because of that though, get used to that. Especially noticeable that if you just try to able to have an easier time trying to grab those green stars as Peach, for instance, that way you can able to actually just do, be perfectly safe in that regard. So, however, there's one thing I totally forgot to mention about, and that was the fact that some people seem to have a lot of speculations back in the day, in new forms of it in 2020, that basically they were expecting to able to actually have ourselves the extra playable character in the Super Mario 3D World portion of the game, but it turns out, sadly, it didn't, because there was no Toadette to be found, unlike the ones how it does it in Mario Maker 2, and as well as New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, that usually Toadette becomes playable in those 2 games. Although, in 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, that Toadette, she's sadly not playable in this particular Switch port, just because, I just have no words to think about it. Although, because I'm pretty certain that it's mainly like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. Even though, apart from the fact that usually, relatively speaking, that they did originally manage to able to actually have themselves a bit of a, the cutting room floor for the likes of how usually that the actual beta elements for Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury on the Switch, that basically that one of those voice clips is actually found in for Toadette's voice clips somewhere. But either way though, that might be something worth noting for the sake of that particular, something a little bit secrecy when it comes to that. But it's kind of a shame that Toadette, she's doesn't seem to become playable on the Switch ports of Super Mario 3D World. But it's not the end of the world, honestly, because at the very least we still got Rosalina at least. And also there was speculating back in the day about the fact that, both Wario and Waluigi will also be playable, along with Daisy as well. I mean, that will make the entire whole thing incredibly well, just incredible in general. And because of that, though, unfortunately what we got is basically the same thing as the forms of how it does it on the Wii U version of the game, which that's fine, because usually we enjoy Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U, but at least at the very least, the Switch version is actually a lot more faster, and especially noticeable, it's like a bit more funner than the forms of how it does it from well, it's kind of hard to say it for this point, just because as you can see, we're going back into the exact same level as in the forms of World Castle-1, except the fact that we do have a 30 seconds time limit, very much like the first level in World Mushrooms. So because of that though, as usual, trying to aim for those, you know, these clock watches to be able to actually add up to your time, and then basically that's how essentially you can do. And obviously, since now we are moving a lot faster than the forms of how it does it on the original Wii U version counterpart, that means that completing these kinds of levels like this is overly top-notch easy, because obviously with, if you keep dying a lot, then basically that's, the good news about this is though, is the fact that obviously, as we already said this before, since during the forms of is it World 4, isn't it? I totally forgot. I think it's roughly in World 4 that one time we somehow accidentally fall off while the Goomba Tower just managed to chase after us while we're trying to able to get ourselves the third and final green star, and that way that your green star collectible sake will be saved. So along with the forms of the stamps as well. But the only thing you will able to lose on it though is the score. So because of that though, the score system might actually be lost if you die, so I just want to classify for something. So, but anyways, there we go, we've completed this stage within like no sweat. So yeah, especially noticeable that obviously that you know, we run significantly faster than before, but usually relatively speaking that's as far as I can think about it. So anyway, 2 more levels have been unlocked, in addition to another one over there, which I was quite surprised that the next level we're about to be hit into is this level right here, and I'm guessing that this level will be unlocked from the start if you manage able to get started with Wildflower. So because of that though, yeah, between the forms within the first level in Wildflower and this level right there, you can able to actually access to either both of these at any point. So whilst unlike the forms of how it does it on, well, you know what I mean, the majority of any other levels, that you do need to able to unlock them if you complete the level. So, anyway, so here we go, on to the exactly, almost the same level as the forms of how it does it on World 5, except the fact that this is a daytime as opposed to sunset. So, and obviously that's, yeah, you know what I mean, we're gonna be collecting majority of the green stars as to be expected, so, and I suppose, I don't think we can able to stumble across the forms of not only a sprinkly tent anytime soon, but also that, I don't suppose we can able to actually stumble across the mystery house anytime soon either. So because of that, because obviously that, yes, much like the Wii U version of the game, that basically that there is actually that true final world in the game by the forms of World Crown, and once again you do need to unlock this within specific conditions. Like for instance, as you notice, on that particular rocky structure thingy, which I'll probably show this off until specifically whenever we move on to the next level. So because of that though, and hopefully, oh goodness, okay, there we go. That was a bit close one, I think, but hey, at least we can able to actually go for these little, like, gold rings, able to collect some more coins here and there, and plus, because we're going to be selecting Toad in this level, this means that, yes, to get the third and final green star, you have to acquire Toad in order to able to actually just to activate the switch, and that way, you would be able to actually just to get yourselves the third and the final green star in this particular stage. So yeah, again, it's pretty super short though, assuming if you're able to actually just to run fast, like Blue Toad for instance. So yeah, there we go. And I believe we've almost at the halfway point in terms of, well, Wildflower. So because of that though, hopefully we would be able to actually just to, like, accomplish certain things here and there. So, alright, so we got 321 green stars so far, so even though, yeah, as you can see on that little rocky structure, as you can see on the left, or the right even, as you can see that we actually stumbled across the star icon, as well as the forms of the stamp icon, and the flagpole, you know, the actual icon. And basically, you have to complete those in order to able to actually access to the true final world in the game, which is World Crown. And you get out to able to collect all these green stars, you know, from World 1 all the way up to World Flower, as you can tell. And obviously, get all the stamps ranging from, you know, World 1 all the way up to World Star, except with World Mushroom and World Flower, just because, as I said this before, those are the only two worlds that does not contain any stamps to collect. So, yeah, and finally, that you need able to actually get all the golden flagpoles in order able to get yourselves the, you have to get all gold flags, ranging from the forms of, you know, World 1 all the way up to World Flower, which we're about to be doing still. So just in case we can able to actually just accomplish most of these objectives right there. So, yeah, everything else goes all fine and dandy and everything. So, in fact, for when people manage to able to first time experiencing this level, they get confused at first because, well, as you can tell, that the more you continuously go all the way to the right, then basically it's almost like an endless kind of loop with that particular false flagpole. But it turns out there is actually that particular hidden warp block to enter, and that way you can able to actually go ahead and find the real flagpole just right there, and that's how you're essentially gonna do right there. So I still really love the actual the visual style in this level because it's almost like black and white. So, yeah, it does remind me of Timeless River World from the likes of Kingdom Hearts 2. Yeah, that was actually a pretty cool world from Kingdom Hearts 2. So, anyway, so let's just go ahead and move on to the next level, on to the right, because obviously we're going for the number order. So let's go on to World Flower 7, Pipeline Boom Lagoon. And I believe in this particular level's gimmick is that, well, it's kind of like the same level as in the forms of how it does it in World 3, except that we have to now utilize the actual, like, the cannon box item, so that way we can able to charge up your cannon fire and release the actual, I think it's releasing the button to able to, like, well, just try to able to fire the actual, the cannonball itself, and, yeah, that's essentially how you're gonna do it for this level right there, so, yeah, anyways, let's just go ahead and, of course, we still can't kill these, little, you know, these little, enemies right there with the actual spikes onto them, because obviously they defend themselves. Oh, darn it! I think I've lost my, cannon box because, obviously, we need that for the first green star. Ah, shoot. But hopefully there might be plenty of those cannon boxes in the future, or in this case, specifically later on throughout this level, so... But, well, at least we'll double check on, yeah, we'll just, grab those, and, we can able to continue on here. But yeah, there's not much else we can say about this other than the fact that, well, usually relatively speaking, that we've almost nearly at the end on Super Mario 3D World playthrough of the entire Let's Play. So, yeah, because obviously that we still got the second half to deal with for the majority of the Let's Play, or... Even though it's kind of hard to explain because I know it has been like 2 days ago since we actually last played this, just because obviously that Sonic is now able to actually just manage to get onto the final world in the forms of Donkey Kong Country 3 by that time until likely at the end of specifically this month in August. Then basically that not only we can able to finish up with the Super Mario 3D World portion of this Let's Play, but also Sonic were able to finish up with the actual Let's Play of Donkey Kong Country 3, and for you, Mighty, that you've pretty much gotten 2 more things to show off, which is the forms of the bonus mode and options and etc in Mario Party 5. So hopefully you were able to complete that Let's Play as well. So yeah, and then after we're done with, you know, Mario Party 5, we can move on to Mario Party 6. So yeah, that should be exciting, because as far as I'm concerned, I can definitely see why that most people found Mario Party 6 to be one of the greatest entries on the GameCube Mario Party games because of this unique feature. But I'm sure enough that we'll let some Toys Else mention more about it, and so whenever we get into, like, the next 2 Let's Plays coming up, and especially noticeable for, well, you know what I'm saying, so... And it's a good thing we did manage to get the alternative way, as you can see, because obviously we need to go up there until we're able to actually use the cannon box to able to destroy the sandcastle structure of Bowser, and that way you can able to, well, get your chance to able to actually get to the actual golden flagpole requirement. So, yeah, everything else goes all pretty swell, if I do say so for myself. Alright, here we go on to the next level, which is down there, which we'll put it out until later, because the next level we're going to be hit on to next is Wildflower 8. So, oh yeah, this level right there. This level might actually be kind of tricky, but we'll go ahead and use Peach right here. So, yeah, basically the same level as in the ones in World 4, except now, I don't suppose there might be still some of those double cherries to be found, so... And if you're probably wondering, what's up with that Mario Switch over there? Nothing major, just coins. So, unless if you really want to able to go after more extra lives and all that stuff. Although, we will show off the forms of the extra stuff on Super Mario 3D World game. It doesn't matter if it's on either the Switch or the Wii U. So, yeah, I was thinking that it does not contain any of those double cherry power-ups or anything. So, yeah, it's just basically that we're gonna have to able to put up with without the double cherry power-up itself. So, and also taking notice from one of those missions in Super Mario Galaxy 2 in Beat Block Galaxy, that basically the actual rhythm with those blocks is actually a lot faster. So because of that, though, yeah, depending if the forms upon the fact that, well, you know what I'm saying. Well, good thing we've managed able to still get ourselves the Tanuki power-up with us, because obviously it makes everything else on these parts right here a bit easier, but without it though, it'll make things a lot tougher, because obviously that, well, eventually the game gets pretty difficult later on though, which to be expected, especially noticeable this is on the special worlds or anything, so, but at least thankfully we got the checkpoint, so, but again, if we somehow mess this up, then obviously it just saves our progress with our, you know, green star collectibles and stuff like that, so... Yeah, it kind of does the same thing from the likes of Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, by the way. That, basically, if you somehow die in one of the levels in Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, basically, you can't able to actually keep these, you know, these diamonds for good. So, because of that, though, thankfully, you don't need to worry about the forms of trying to recollect them again, although, unlike in, the Wii U version of Super Mario 3D World, specifically, they have to re-grab those specific collectibles again. And, same applies to those star coins as well, from the likes of, well, new Super Mario Bros. Games, basically, so... We still have no idea, although despite the fact that it does technically save your progression for the star coins, if you somehow manage to able to, like, well, activate the checkpoint or whatever. But in some cases, scenarios though, with certain levels that does not contain any, like, checkpoints whatsoever, basically though, you have to grab the exact same star coins again, so... Yeah, that might be something worth classified for noticing this, so... Alright, here we go, on to that particular seaside-looking level again, which, I'm gonna say, with this sunset in the background, it makes everything else a lot gorgeous here. Yeah, especially noticeable that, well, for whatever reason, it just gets like a Bowser's Castle theme for some reason. Although, mind you, it's the fact that, well, the actual main emphasis on this level is the fact that we have to get rid of every single Fire Bros until you're able to finish the level. Although, before we deal with all that though, Ray, is the fact that we need to able to let the Fire Bro manage to able to lit up those specific lanterns, and if you do that, then you get yourselves the first green star. So... Although the entire level structurally is exactly like the forms of how it does it on, you know, one of those levels in World 5. So because of that though, like, except the fact that rather than taking place in daytime, and instead it just managed to take place in sunset. So, which to be expected though, because summer is almost finishing up, and especially noticeable about the fact that, well, the time zone with the actual, like, going backwards a little bit, which, because of that though, the sunset time is now going to be slightly earlier than usual, ever since during the forms of in, I think the longest day we actually did have, for the longest time we've ever had, that's the forms of somewhat in June for this year. So it's just the Lucky Bell. We were expecting to be able to have a Lucky Bell with us, but I don't think we can able to do that. So we'll just cut to a chase and then just get rid of this last fire bro, while at the same time, sadly, we've lost our Tanuki power-up, but that's fine because we're actually selecting Luigi in this level, and because of that though, we can hopefully guarantee to get ourselves a glorious golden flagpole, just like always. So yeah, you probably get the idea about this, how this will go, so... I mean, yeah, that particular shot right there, it almost reminds me of the forms of, well, The Lion King, which, yeah, kind of thinking about it though, I still kind of prefer the original The Lion King film than the likes of the god-awful live-action version, just because the live-action version is like, they just ruin our nostalgia. Like, seriously, they just ruined the nostalgia for anyone else in the world, so... Alright, so here we go, on to Honeycomb Skyway, and, basically, it's like the exact same level as in the ones in World Star, except now that rather than taking place in nighttime, it was now daytime, so... Yeah, and because of that though, as to be expected, no checkpoints, so yeah, get used to that, so... Although, kind of thinking about it though, Ray, is the fact that, relatively speaking, that, unlike the forms of how it does it on, well, it's kind of hard to say for this point, honestly. Even then, that, I think I remember, actually, about the fact that Sonic did actually told me once that, both Sonic and Sylvester did manage able to actually have themselves a very, very, very long run-through for the sake of the forms of Wildflower. Yeah, I can totally respect that, Mighty, just because of how the fact that usually, relatively speaking, that usually this world does contain, like, 12 stages apiece, whilst there's no, you know, mystery house to be found, or, there's no enemy ambushes or anything else like that, because obviously we are basically done with the enemy ambush, kind of levels, just because... Well, you know, we pretty much almost at the end of the level, we've almost at the very end of Super Mario 3D World portion of this playthrough, and because of that though, yeah, we're actually getting pretty close, so... So anyways, let's get rid of those little, parrot buds here and there, so hopefully we would be able to actually grab some more coins, and, well... Despite the fact that, well, it doesn't give us anything if you decide to able to get rid of them, unlike, you know, the ones in World Star, that does manage to give us something, which is the Green Star itself, so... But anyways, let's go for these clear pipes, and we have to be extra careful at this point, just because, obviously, that we don't want to touch the lava, unlike we accidentally did on World Star, just because that, we just want to get that Green Star out of the way, and, obviously, it'll save our progress, of course, so, and there's the final green star just right there, which it does require a burrowing power-up in order to able to do it, so, yeah, because, if you don't have it, though, then, obviously, you're gonna have to take a risk, and then just die instantly with the lava hexagon platform, and then you're gonna have to go all the way back to the beginning of the level. Well, at the same time though, the good news about the Switch version of the game is that obviously, as I said this countless amount of times, that's basically that it does save your progress if you somehow die in any kind of level. So either way though, oh jeez, that was actually a lot faster than before. Yeah, especially noticeable in these hexagon stuff, just managed to able to, like, well, go a lot more faster than before, because obviously that's, well, unlike the forms of how it does it on, World Star, at least in one of those levels anyway, there's actually, like, normal speed and stuff, whilst in here, though, it's actually ridiculously fast, and you do need to get yourselves a lot more faster reflexes in order able to actually go ahead and actually access to, you know, the golden flagpole in order to reach, so... Alright, so here we go on to Wildflower 11, and we're going to be selecting Princess Peach on this level, because, well, for Spiky, Spike, Bridge, Sneak, as far as the level suggests, it's going to be pretty tough. It is definitely going to be a lot tougher, so because of that, though, because the main emphasis on this level is the fact that, well, every time you get spotted by the actual, like, some searchlights, basically, those spikes, specifically the blue spike platforms, will pop up, so... Whilst if you ever play this on the original Wii U version of the game, for those of you who have a first time playing it, it'll be a lot more hellish, because obviously that you do need to grab the, or you do need to recollect the green stars or anything else like that all over again. Well, thankfully the Switch version is actually a bit more timeable, just because of how the fact that every time you die, obviously you save your progress for, you know, collecting certain amount of collectibles for green stars or stamp, but either way though, it knows what it is, so. And obviously that this will be the final time we're going to be seeing the checkpoint flags, because until whenever we get into the forms of the, well, the last level in the forms of World Flower, and especially noticeable with the forms of World Crown entirely, basically there won't be any checkpoints anymore, just because, well, it gets a bit tougher every now and then until you reach at the very end, so. But at least I highly doubt that we can able to actually do this on the first attempt, because, I know it seems like it's kind of hard to able to look back on the forms of the original playthrough of Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U, just because of the fact that, well, I know it has been a couple of days since I actually did manage to, like, going back into the, one of those videos and just managed to look back on the actual death rate on, during in certain portions throughout. But I digress. Okay, so we just have to keep on jumping and jumping and jumping in the careful amount of timing and what have you, and obviously that as soon as you're able to get past through there, then you will be good to go by then, right? Well, turns out there was that one last thing we can do, and that is, of course, the golden flagpole we still need to acquire for doing this, and the only thing is kind of annoying, especially noticeable that since we actually did manage to get hit a lot on that particular searchlight with that specific spike is placed, basically though, that it just managed to able to get like few seconds delay for that particular, you know, damage output, or the damage, like, well, you know what I'm saying, just like it evolves of how it doesn't on any other Mario games every now and then, but it knows what it used to be, so. Alright, so here we go, on to the last level in World Flower, and that is Boss Blitz in World Flower 12. Jeez, 12 levels, huh? So obviously you get the idea with this level, that basically we have to fight the exact same bosses again, except now we can able to actually skip the cinematic cutscenes on certain boss fights, because obviously, that if you're getting sick of the forms of likely seeing the exact same cinematics again, well, thankfully you can able to skip that from the start, so. Which kind of does the same thing for the likes of The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD on the Switch version specifically, so. Yeah, anyway, let's just go ahead and, you know, try to step onto its back, you know, just like what the, what we usually did for the Thwomps, so. Yeah, it's pretty easy if you manage to get the down of it. And every time you defeat one of those bosses, then you can get yourselves the, one of 5 of those key coins, but let's not worry about those right now, just because, well, obviously we're going to be able to face off against with some of these familiar bosses again, so. So anyway, and obviously we're going to be selecting Rosalina in this level though, because obviously that with her spin jump in mind, and especially noticeable with this very cool speedrun trick, or even then though, that we will try our best if we're able to try to achieve it, but what's in here? Oh, this is what we fight against with Boom Boom in there, so. And obviously, if you notice on the previous level that, you know, we actually did manage to accomplish the golden flagpole, in an alright moment's notice. Basically, that was the final time we'll, see the actual, you know, the regular, like, flagpole and what have you, because obviously by that time, whenever we get into this level, along with the forms of the true final world in the game, World Crown, and it still might actually be one of the hardest levels in any other 3D Mario games, which is, to be more specifically, well, you guys should probably already know what we're going to be trying to say about this, so. Anyways, let's get to the actual main topic of the forms of doing Bowser's Fury playthrough. We were originally expect we can able to carry on doing the actual Let's Play by the time on September. Well, turns out though, we might actually take a break for this Let's Play for a small while, until specifically we'll go back into Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury until, like, let's just say October? Yeah, I think we can do that in October, until before when, well, Mario Party Superstars will be releasing on the Switch, so, is that will be a good opportunity we can able to celebrate it with that. Absolutely, yeah, because, well, we are still very excited with the game, especially noticeable that, you know, that's how it should be done in the first place, as we said this countless amount of times, during the course of 2017 and stuff like that, but still I can't deny about that, so... There we go, we managed able to beat the likes of the forms of that particular boulder-like boss, and now we're going to be taking on the forms of, oh boy, we got ourselves both Histocrats, both male and female versions at the same time. So naturally speaking, as you can see, I did manage to somehow do a pretty cool trick. That is the fact that if I somehow try to do like a pretty cool trick, if I was trying to able to do like, I don't know, somersault or ground pound jump, and basically do a spin jump at the same time. That way you can able to actually deal the amount of damage to those two very quickly and fast. Yeah, especially noticeable about the fact that if you're about to be still waiting for that cat power-up you can able to get, well, it turns out you can able to do that for certain speedrun tactics, as you can tell. But either way though, it might be pretty tricky to pull it off, but either way though, we somehow managed able to like finish them off completely, and hopefully we'll grab ourselves the second green star, and the third and final green star is that obviously that since that if you think this level will be finished, well, turns out we still got one boss to able to have a rematch against. And this time around though, it's actually a lot harder than the forms of how it does it on the previous two counterparts of himself. And also because of how the fact that, well, we've already stumbled across the grey variation of this particular melting-like clown-looking monster thingy, and also we've already come across into the gold variation ever since in World Bowser, whilst now in the forms of World Flower, that we now face off against with a pink-gold variation of that. So, even though the entire fight plays out exactly the same as before, except it's gonna be a lot harder. Although, every time you die, then you have to do the entire level all over again. But again, the good news about this is that if you somehow grab those green stars, then it saves your progress. And don't exit the level, because obviously you lose your progress. So, yeah, that might be something worth consideration. And plus, there aren't any checkpoints to be found around here either. So, yeah, there we go. We actually complete everything for Boss Blitz. And since after all we grab all three of those green stars, and there's the next giant flagpole, which first of all we need to actually get ourselves a good running start, as you can see. And since we actually did manage to collect not only all the stamps up to this point, and also all the green stars as well, and heck, even achieving the actual, like, you know, golden flagpoles in any other levels, as you can tell, that as soon as we finish the level, and basically, the message will show you the final world is now open. So this means we can now able to actually access to the true final world in the game. That's what appears to be World Crown. And yeah, like the Wii U version of the game, if you somehow manage to go to this point, as you can see, we got ourselves these empty 5 blanks of these specific squares. And that actually represents that you've completed certain levels with certain characters, which we're probably not going to do it for this particular playthrough, because much like the Wii U version of this playthrough, I'm going to able to try to do this on a separate file. So, yeah, I digress. So I think we should probably end things off here. So join us next time for more of Let's Play of Super Mario 3D World, plus Bowser's Fury. That is the fact that we can able to conclude Super Mario 3D World on a Nintendo Switch version. By all means, by that, we can able to go through World Crown, the hardest world in the game. So we'll see you guys until on Monday. Yep, we'll see you guys then.